Hello everyone, my name is Seth, and today I'm going to give you my review of Echo. Echo is the latest Marvel Disney Plus show. It follows Maya Lopez after the events of Hawkeye, and I liked Hawkeye more than, I guess, the average person I've talked to, but I wasn't necessarily excited for this show until I saw the first trailer. The first trailer really got me excited for this show. But before I go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. First, I'll say that I think it's a little bit odd that Disney went ahead and released all 5 episodes at once. I think they, as well as anybody, knows that releasing week to week is the best way to kind of gain momentum for a show. So it almost kind of seemed like they just wanted to go ahead and get it out and move past it. They said with Echo that they wanted this to be more reminiscent of the Netflix Marvel shows like Daredevil, Luke Cage, The Defenders, Jessica Jones, ones like that. And I think they sort of kind of hit that every once in a while. I don't necessarily know how close they got. Sometimes it feels like they got pretty close, but then other times they just kind of fall short. There's a little bit more violence in this than in some of the other Disney Plus Marvel shows, but still, the tone's just not quite there. There was a fight sequence in the first episode that I thought was really well done, and that kind of gave me some of the Netflix Marvel vibes. But as far as the story goes, I kind of feel like there's not a lot that happened here. There's not a lot of side stuff here. I mean, with only 5 episodes, you don't have a ton of time, but everything is focused on Maya, and that's good in one sense, but also not so good because it leaves a little bit to be desired in terms of the depth of the whole story and some of the depth of characters. I think this show only being 5 episodes really kind of hurt it. It kind of feels like it was stuck in the middle. The pacing, I think, was kind of odd, and it kind of fell into the same trap that some of the 6th episode Marvel shows have fallen into, where it starts good, and then the ending is rushed and not that great. I think that's kind of what happens here. I really like the first episode. It might be one of my favorites. However, still, that was a lot of recap that we saw in Hawkeye. But really, at times, it just felt really slow. And I feel like this would have been better served as an actual film, like cut it down and have it be a film, get to rework the ending a little bit. It also feels kind of stretched out to hit the 5 episodes. So I feel like they should have just made this a Disney Plus film. I don't know why they haven't done that yet. They've done a couple of the special presentations like they did with the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special and with Werewolf by Night. I think actually doing a full film on Disney Plus, something like this with maybe a lower budget, I think that would be a perfect place for it. Kind of alongside with the pacing, they have some kind of flashbacks, historical sequences all throughout the series, mostly at the beginning, but we kind of get some more looks at it the deeper we get into the show. And I understand what they're doing. I understand that they connect it back to Maya, and it all makes sense at the end. However, I don't necessarily think it does much good for the pacing. All that ties into her powers, which they did change from the comics. And in the comics, her powers are kind of like Taskmaster, where she can mimic or echo the fighting style of others. Here, she's kind of channeling the abilities from her ancestors and from her past, her family. And I'm okay with them changing it. I just don't necessarily know how I like it being portrayed here, especially in the final fight. For me, I wish the characters were just written a little bit stronger. I feel like in Hawkeye, even though we did get some of her background, I don't really feel like we made a strong connection with Maya, and I was looking forward to that here, but I don't necessarily think that they do that here. I don't necessarily feel connected to any of the characters, Maya included, but especially a lot of the side characters. I didn't find myself really caring whenever any of these characters were in danger. I feel like there's definitely potential there with Maya coming back home and dealing with her family and dealing with friends that she hasn't seen in a really long time. there's more to explore here, and I feel like they just kind of brushed over some of that, especially that relationship with her and her cousin. I feel like there was more there that they really could have dug deep into, and they didn't quite do that. There's plenty of material here to really have some nice emotional and dramatic moments, but I feel like they just kind of lightly touched on things. Even though I will say I wish there was more depth from some of the characters, that does not mean that I think the performances were bad. It's actually the opposite. Alec Cox did a really good job as Echo. She has a nice presence on screen, and just everything she does just seems very natural. She has some great face and body language acting, and I think it really goes a long way having an actress who is deaf playing a deaf character. Also, everything with Kingpin was great. There's some actors that just seem to be born for certain roles, and I kind of feel like Vincent D'Onofrio is born to play Kingpin. He has such an intimidating presence, and he makes for just a really cool and amazing villain, and I can't wait to see more from him in the MCU. I'm hoping we can get some kind of team up with Spider-Man and Daredevil taking on Fisk. My only complaint with how Fisk was handled is that it seemed like they kind of relied on your previous knowledge of Fisk with the Netflix shows. I really liked Graham Greene, who played Maya's grandfather. He did a really good job. He has a nice presence, and he's just very charming. I enjoyed any time he was on screen. I think the action was well done for the most part. Like I mentioned before, I really liked the fight sequence there in the first episode, and I absolutely loved that sequence with Daredevil. I just can't wait for his show whenever it eventually comes out. And honestly, other than the end fight and the finale episode, I think the rest of the action was well done. It was filmed well, it had good choreography, it had a lot of energy, and they gave you a good sense of everything that was going on. The CGI was good for the most part. This isn't like a super CGI heavy show like some of the others that they've done, but they do still use some CGI here. And for the most part, I would say it's good. There's a few times where you can tell that they're using the volume. There's a few times where you can tell like an animal is CG, but other than that, I think it's pretty solid all the way around. So as a whole, I will say that the show was all right. I mean, I had a decent time with it. I don't regret watching it. There's definitely some good, but there's also definitely some not so good. And I feel like if you're somebody who wants to watch everything Marvel, then you'll have a good enough time with this to justify watching the 5 episodes. I think you'll have a good enough time. If you're more of a casual Marvel fan, you kind of pick and choose what you watch. I don't necessarily think that this will captivate you. I really enjoyed getting to see a different location, different culture, different characters in this Marvel show. I thought that was very interesting. I thought it was well done. We had some good performances and some good action, but I don't think any of this will blow anybody away. But that's it. That's my review of Echo. Have you seen this show? Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.